expensive, chemical-laden fertilizer you bought last week is sitting in your shed right now, promising miracles while slowly draining your hard-earned money and stripping the natural vitality out of your soil. The honest truth is that the finest secrets to a thriving, disease-free, and incredibly vibrant garden are not found on the shelves of big-box commercial stores, but right inside your kitchen pantry, waiting to be discovered. Most households inadvertently throw away a fortune in natural plant medicine every single week, tossing out scraps and everyday items that can transform a struggling backyard plot or a vast acre of crops into an abundant paradise. You do not need complex synthetic sprays or costly commercial inputs to achieve the deep green leaves, the fragrant blossoms, and the heavy harvests you have always dreamed of. By understanding the simple, brilliant science hidden within common household ingredients, you can protect your wallet, safeguard your family's health, and unlock a level of growth that will leave your neighbors utterly amazed. Before we dive deep into these incredible kitchen remedies, I want to invite you to join our growing family by subscribing to this channel so we can continue sharing these timeless, down-to-earth solutions together. It would also mean the world to me if you took just a brief moment to drop your location down in the comments section below. Whether you are tending a few pots in a bustling city, managing a beautiful backyard garden in a quiet village, or cultivating fields across a rural district, we are incredibly fortunate to have a wonderful, diverse community of passionate growers from every corner of the globe watching these videos and knowing exactly where you are sharing your journey from. Helps me tailor this practical wisdom to the unique climates and soils you are working with. Let us begin with a common household staple that most people completely underestimate, an item sitting right there in your kitchen cupboard that can completely revolutionize how you manage garden pests and fungal outbreaks. Baking soda, which you likely use for baking cookies or deodorizing your refrigerator, is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to protecting vulnerable plant tissue. When you look closely at a leaf suffering from the dull, gray coating of powdery mildew or the dark spots of fungal blight, you are seeing a pathogen that thrives in a highly specific, slightly acidic environment. Baking soda is naturally alkaline, and when you spray it onto a leaf, it dramatically alters the pH surface, creating an incredibly harsh environment where fungal spores simply cannot attach, survive, or multiply. To harness this remarkable protective barrier, you will want to dissolve 1 tablespoon of ordinary baking soda into 1 gallon of clean, lukewarm water. To make this solution truly effective, you must add 1 teaspoon of liquid dish soap or a few drops of vegetable oil to the mixture, which acts as a natural surfactant, helping the liquid spread evenly and stick to the slick surfaces of the foliage rather than just rolling off onto the ground. For a home gardener caring for delicate balcony pots or a lush backyard kitchen garden, a standard handheld spray bottle is perfect for coating the tops and bottoms of the leaves until they are glistening with moisture. If you are a small or medium-scale farmer looking to protect a larger plot of tomatoes, cucumbers, or squash, you can easily scale this recipe up by mixing 1 cup of baking soda and a 1/4 cup of mild soap into 25 gallons of water inside a large backpack sprayer. For the absolute best results, you should apply this gentle mist early in the morning before the sun gets too high and hot, repeating the process once every 2 weeks as a preventative shield, or once a week if you notice the first signs of a fungal outbreak after a heavy, humid rain. But here is where it gets really interesting, because the very same kitchen where you bake your bread holds another discarded treasure that can breathe new life into tired, depleted earth. Every single time you crack open an egg to cook breakfast for your family, you are holding a masterclass in slow-release plant nutrition that most households toss straight into the waste bin without a second thought. Eggshells are composed almost entirely of calcium carbonate, which is the exact same fundamental building block that plants use to construct strong, rigid cell walls capable of standing tall against fierce winds and resisting invasive pests. When a plant like a tomato, a pepper, or an eggplant runs out of calcium in the soil, the tips of the developing fruit turn black, sunken, and rotten, in a devastating condition known as blossom end rot, which can ruin an entire season of hard work overnight. Instead of letting that happen, you can collect your empty eggshells, rinse them quickly under the tap, and let them dry out until they are brittle and paper dry. Once they are dry, crush them down with your hands, or use an old kitchen blender to grind them into a fine, powdery dust that smells faintly of the earth. The reason grinding them is so vital is that large chunks of shell can take years to break down, but a fine powder allows the soil microbes to immediately start digesting the material, releasing that vital calcium directly to the thirsty root zone. For the home gardener, you can simply scoop a generous tablespoon of this white powder and work it directly into the soil, at the base of your potted plants, or scratch it into the earth around your backyard vegetables. If you are a farmer preparing a quarter-acre field for a new crop, you can scatter pounds of this crushed material directly along your planting furrows, before the seedlings go into the ground. Because eggshells break down gradually, you only need to apply this natural amendment once, at the beginning of the planting season, allowing the steady rhythm of your watering routine to slowly dissolve the nutrients into the cool, dark earth below. Your grandmother probably knew this next one, but somehow it got forgotten along the way as modern chemical fertilizers took over the market, blinding us to the simple elegance of a good cup of tea. Chamomile tea, which you probably keep in your pantry to help you relax and drift off to sleep after a long, stressful day, is one of nature's most potent, gentle, and effective antifungal treatments for young, vulnerable seedlings. When you sow seeds into a tray of moist soil, you are often entering a race against a cruel fungal disease called damping off, which causes the tiny, thread-like stems of newborn plants to suddenly wither at the soil line, collapse, and die in the blink of an eye. Chamomile flowers are packed with natural compounds that possess strong antiseptic and fungicidal properties, meaning they can cleanse the soil surface without harming the delicate, emerging root structures of your new plants. To prepare this soothing botanical bath, take 2 ordinary chamomile tea bags from your kitchen, drop them into a quart of boiling water, and let them steep until the liquid has completely cooled down to room temperature and turned a rich, golden amber color. For a small backyard garden or an indoor seed-starting setup, you can pour this cooled tea directly into a watering can and gently drench the soil immediately after planting your seeds, or use a fine misting bottle to spray the surface of the soil whenever it begins to look dry. For a larger farming operation, raising thousands of plugs in a greenhouse or cold frame, you can brew a massive batch using 8 to 10 tea bags per gallon of water, utilizing your regular irrigation lines to distribute this protective wash across all your seed flats. This natural remedy should be used right from the very first day you plant your seeds, applying it every time you water during the first 3 weeks of the seedlings' lives until they grow strong, woody stems that are naturally resistant to the hidden dangers of the soil. Most people throw this next ingredient away without realizing what it can do, yet it can completely transform the way you repel stubborn insects without ever introducing a single drop of toxic poison to your property. Garlic is a staple in almost every household recipe across the world, but it is also one of the most effective, biologically active deterrents ever discovered for managing aphids, spider mites, thrips, and whiteflies. Garlic contains a high concentration of sulfur compounds, specifically one called allicin, which gives the bulb its unmistakably pungent, sharp aroma that cuts through the air when you chop it on a wooden cutting board. To an insect searching for a tender leaf to chew on, that powerful smell is highly offensive, completely masking the natural scent of the plant and driving the pests away to search for food elsewhere. To create a highly concentrated garlic defense spray, take 2 entire heads of garlic from your pantry, separate them into individual cloves, and peel them before tossing them into a blender with a quart of water. Blend the mixture on high until it forms a smooth, milk-white liquid. Then pour it through a fine mesh strainer or a piece of cheesecloth to remove all the pulp, which could easily clog up your spray nozzles later on. Mix this concentrated garlic juice with another gallon of clean water and add a single teaspoon of mild liquid soap to help the solution cling to the rough texture of the leaves. For the home gardener with a beautiful collection of roses or a patch of succulent spinach, you can apply this aromatic spray thoroughly, making sure to wet the undersides of the leaves, where pesky insects love to hide and lay their eggs. For a medium-scale farmer dealing with an invasion across a field of cabbage or beans, this recipe can be multiplied easily to fill a large commercial misting rig. The absolute best time to apply this pungent remedy is late in the evening, as the sun begins to set, because the cool night air allows the garlic oils to sit on the foliage longer without evaporating, and you should repeat the application once a week or immediately after a heavy rainfall washes the protective scent away. As you walk through your garden, taking in the rich, earthy scent of freshly turned soil and watching the deep green leaves soak up the morning light, you might notice that some of your plants look a bit pale, sluggish, and lacking in overall vigor. When this happens, the solution is often sitting right inside your medicine cabinet or bathroom closet in the form of Epsom salt. Despite its name, Epsom salt is not traditional table salt at all, but a naturally occurring mineral compound consisting of pure magnesium and sulfur, two critical nutrients that plants desperately need to perform photosynthesis. Magnesium is the central atom in the chlorophyll molecule, which is the magnificent engine that allows a plant to turn sunlight into energy, giving leaves that incredibly rich, dark green color and helping the plant produce sweet, abundant fruit. If your soil is deficient in magnesium, your plants will begin to show yellowing between the veins of their oldest leaves, a clear and urgent cry for help that you can easily answer. To create a fast-acting mineral tonic, simply dissolve 2 tablespoons of Epsom salt into 1 gallon of water, shaking the container until the clear crystals completely disappear into the liquid. For a home gardener with potted citrus trees, heavy-feeding tomato plants, or beautiful flowering shrubs, you can pour this solution directly onto the earth around the base of the plant so the roots can drink it in. Or, spray it directly onto the leaves, as a foliar feed for even faster absorption. For a farmer managing a large orchard or a commercial field of peppers, you can dissolve 20 pounds of Epsom salt per acre through your existing drip irrigation system, or apply it as a large-scale field spray. This nourishing treatment works wonders when applied once a month during the peak growing season, preferably during a cool, overcast day or early in the morning when the stomata on the undersides of the leaves are wide open and ready to absorb the life-giving minerals. But what about those times when your garden is facing a sudden, aggressive attack from larger pests like slugs, snails, or soft-bodied caterpillars that can chew through a beautiful crop in a matter of hours? You can find an incredibly effective, completely natural solution right at the bottom of your morning breakfast routine by saving your leftover coffee grounds. Used coffee grounds possess a unique, slightly abrasive texture that feels like walking on broken glass to a soft-bodied pest like a slug, creating a physical barrier that they are highly reluctant to cross. Furthermore, the residual caffeine left behind in the grounds is a natural neurotoxin to many small insects, acting as a powerful deterrent that keeps them far away from your prized vegetables. To use this aromatic waste product, simply spread your used coffee grounds out on an old newspaper or baking sheet to dry completely, which prevents them from clumping up or growing unwanted mold before you are ready to use them. For a home gardener protecting a small raised bed of tender lettuce or a delicate border of hostas, you can create a continuous, 1-inch wide ring of dry coffee grounds directly on the soil surface, around the base of each individual plant. For a larger farmer looking to protect rows of strawberries or young vegetable starts, the grounds can be scattered thinly along the entire length of the planting beds to form a defensive line against nocturnal pests. This remedy should be applied as soon as the weather becomes damp and rainy, which is when slugs and snails are most active. And you should replenish the barrier every week or two, as the grounds settle and blend back into the dark earth. There is another brilliant solution that leverages the incredible natural properties of a common kitchen spice that you likely keep on hand for making flavorful curries, comforting soups, or golden milk. Turmeric is celebrated worldwide for its powerful health benefits for humans, but its active compound, curcumin, makes it an outstanding natural antiseptic, antibacterial, and healing agent for the plant kingdom as well. Whenever you prune a thick branch off a fruit tree, accidentally nick a plant stem with a garden trowel, or harvest a heavy head of broccoli, you are leaving behind an open wound that exposes the inner vascular system of the plant to airborne diseases and destructive bacteria. By mixing equal parts of ordinary turmeric powder and clean water in a small dish, you can create a thick, vibrant golden paste that acts exactly like a natural liquid bandage for your plants. For a home gardener, you can use your finger or a small paintbrush to smear this golden paste directly over any fresh pruning cuts, broken stems, or damaged bark on your backyard trees and indoor potted plants. For a larger farmer working through a commercial vineyard or an orchard after a heavy pruning session, a slightly thinner version of this mixture can be loaded into a hand sprayer to quickly coat the fresh cuts across hundreds of trees. This protective paste should be applied immediately after any pruning or accidental damage occurs, ensuring that the plant's open tissues are sealed tight against infection while the natural healing process takes place in the warm sun. As we bring this wonderful conversation to a close, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this valuable time with me today, and I encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you never miss another one of our practical, down-to-earth gardening guides. Please remember to share your location in the comments below, because whether you are watching these videos from a cozy kitchen in a high-rise city apartment or from the porch of a beautiful farmhouse surrounded by rolling green fields, your presence is what makes this global community so special. In our very next video, we are going to explore an incredibly unique, entirely free method for turning ordinary garden weeds into a highly concentrated, nutrient-rich liquid fertilizer that will cost you absolutely nothing but completely transform your harvest. So be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Until then, take wonderful care of your beautiful plants, enjoy every single moment you spend out there with your hands in the soil, and take